The Flash 71, Mark Waid writing, Greg LaRocque on the art, and this is the start of a multi-part story. I'm not sure how many issues. It feels like maybe a two-parter from my take. Although before we talk about this issue itself, there was actually an 8-issue story with no cover in the trade that was here before this issue. So we read it with this one.
You read it with this one because I am reading the single issues on DC.
Okay, well I read it. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's a part of some other book, some sort of anthology book that Mark Waid still wrote, so they threw it in here. The table of contents does not list it. It's just there in between the two issues. So I don't know. Maybe someone in the comments can tell us where this comes from. But it's an 8-page story. This is an alright little, as far as these little stories go that you find in these books, where it's about was it a congressman? But it's basically there's like an assassination attempt as Wally's going up an elevator, and it's all told in ultra slow motion as he's trying to go down to like save the target. And that's basically he's in one of those outside glass elevators. So he's like outside and he's looking down, and there's a sniper, and it's just this really fun little sequence of like his coffee cup like falling, and it's really good sequencing. The bullet's getting closer and closer, and he swoops in in time and saves him, and then the glass shattering from when he jumped out of the elevator shatters at the end after he's saved the guy from the bullet. Then he goes up and quickly deals with the guy, and that's it. That's basically all it is. But it's a fun little story. I'm not, as far as 8-page stories go, I kind of like just how focused this was. It is a simple thing. It's Wally, I think, trying to go home because he's like trying to get some sleep because he's been out flashing. That sounds quite bad. You know what I mean? He's been out doing flash business all day.
Better.
He's been out flashing. He's been out in the park flashing cats in trees and flashing old ladies who need help across the street. He's been flashing. He's been flashing everyone, that Wally.
Yeah, you finished being inappropriate yet?
Okay. So you think it's like the actual issue 71. I just, it was in the book, so I read it. Just I might as well mention it. That takes us on to the actual issue itself, issue 71. Which, honestly, there's a character. So it starts off with Wally in a bank, right? He's basically talking about how slow everything feels, especially for him waiting in lines, and everyone feels like it takes an eternity to be in in a line in the queue in the bank or wherever. Post office is another one. And
I can't remember the last time I queued in a bank because we just do everything with the online machines.
Yes, our machines. Yes, it's gotten better. It's gotten easier over the years for sure. And I guess that's the goal: is that enough people can do most things can be done with the machines now that very few people have to go to the clerks.
Yeah, so. Like I think if you're doing something proper, obviously you have to. But if you're just depositing some cash or a check, you just do the machine and it's just in and out and it's way quicker. And I think that's where it's solved a lot of the problems because you had people just having to go up just to deposit a check, whatever.
Yeah. So it's it's filtered people out. Anyway, we're not here to talk bank lines. We're here to talk about.
We can talk about post office lines if you really want.
No,
I'm more topical right now.
But there's this sort of yuppie character in front of him, and he's kind of complaining about him, and then eventually this villain Alchemy shows up, who's kind of like not quite a legacy character of Dr. Alchemy, but there's kind of a correlation.
He's called himself the Alchemist.
Sorry, the Alchemist, yes, you're right. But this character, and I didn't quite place it wasn't necessarily making me think of anyone specifically at first, but later on we find out he's like a sort of skeezy lawyer who helps like criminals, and I'm like, you know what, this issue is like, and it's actually, I think, a good issue, it's a solid issue, but it's like 10 times better when I started just thinking of this guy's Saul Goodman the entire time, and Saul Goodman being like, come on, Wally, you gotta help me and stuff. And
I can't wait to read the next issue.
Like all of a sudden, every scene with them was just way more entertaining because I was hearing Saul Goodman's voice.
Oh, I'm gonna do that next time. Honestly, I think this issue is one of the best in the run so far. Like, I don't know, there was a step up. Like even the first page, that first, I don't know, even half a page, where it's just Wally on the blue background. I felt the pacing. I felt everything just felt tight. And like it just stepped up a gear, and even though I don't feel like anything really had changed, it was such a simple thing.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've been saying since the year one story is the pacing and the art from LaRocque has been very on point at numerous times.
Yeah, and I don't know if part of this is as well as coming off that, let's be honest,
Crossover.
relatively weak 4-part crossover. And it's been a month or whatever since I've read a proper issue of Flash, and then coming onto this, it's like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it feels like we're back to the main thing, because we had year one, we had the weird like Aquaman, which was fine. It was like a goofy little story, and then we had like a proper like 2-3 part with Abracadabra, and this feels like we're back to the main run. And I agree. There's a confidence to this where we're bringing back in the ongoing relationship with Linda, which he's established a little bit, Wade, but we've not delved into it too much. And this issue kind of really sets up a proper ultimatum.
Even just the very first panel, where it's Wally just stood there on the blue background with the title, Nowhere Fast next to it.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt confident.
Yeah, I agree. There's a confidence to it. So yeah, the alchemist shows up and he's got the philosopher's stone. Or sorry, for the Americans, the sorcerer's stone. Just to.
Yes, that's very good. I'll allow it.
You won't catch me making a lot of Harry Potter references, but I saw an opportunity. I took it. So
just you wait. He's gonna have to talk Star Wars references soon.
Oddly, the Star Wars reference that comes up, and it's not in this one, it's in Birds of Prey, but
yeah,
the Star Wars reference that comes up is actually very Midichlorians, which is interesting because it's before Phantom Menace came out.
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get. I'll give this discussion in Birds of Prey.
Yeah, have it in Birds of Prey. So yeah, a bit of a fight. You can't quite get to him, and it establishes here for anyone who doesn't know. And to be fair, I don't think I did, or at least I didn't remember it. The Philosopher's Stone in the context of the DC universe is that it can transmute anything, kind of like how Firestorm can. And Wall even mentions at one point, like, why is he even trying to rob a bank? He can literally just take a lamppost and turn it into like solid gold if he wanted to. Like, why do this? And then he's like, oh, it's more of a mob pit. That scumbag who was in front of me. Because there's a funny line in the first page actually where he's like, well, if I have to wait any longer, I might kill someone. And then the guy in front is like, makes some sort of comment. He's like, maybe this guy, like maybe this one.
Yeah.
So no, it's good. And so he speeds off. Wally doesn't quite catch him. But we sort of go from there, and he speeds off to the news station where Linda is. He's not seen Linda in a little while, and he's got some roses that he buys kind of on the run. And he's surprised to find that Linda's got a big farewell party. There's a big sign saying "Farewell, Linda, we'll miss you." And Wally's like, "Wait, what?" And I will point out one thing here that I think's a little bit weird. At least something I considered is like, given how fast you run, does it really matter if she lives in a different city?
I was thinking that as well, and it's not like it's a big secret identity issue.
No,
because he's obviously, people know he's strolling around the newsroom with cowl down.
Yeah.
It's fine. So it's like, so what if she lives in, where's she going to? Midway. And I'm like, just run over after,
Even if that's and I don't have a DC map memorized, but even if that's the equivalent of New York to Los Angeles, how long is that for him to run?
10 minutes tops.
I know, it's like that's like a regular. Some couples have to like travel an hour, and that's not seen as that weird.
Like the weird part is, you could live in the same city and have to travel longer than it would take Wally West to run across the country.
but I'll forgive it because I like the kind of, essentially she's making a bit of a play here. It's like, hey, if you want to come and stop me, my train leaves at this time. If you want to try and convince me to stay, it almost feels like she really wants him to try and make a commitment, because as with her questioning later, the way she says, hey, are we more than just friends? It seems like he seems to think they are, but he's never actually made it official with her that they're in a relationship, and that's more on him than her. So it's just almost like she's prodding him into actually saying, hey, yes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely what's going on here.
Yeah. Admittedly, actually going through the effort of getting a new job offer and having a party to say goodbye to all of her colleagues is a bit of a
it's arguably a little shitty.
It's going. No, I'd say it's committed. She's committed to the bit.
I mean, it's great for her. It's a bit shit if like her employer's not in on it.
Sure. Yeah, but she's a top exec. She's a top TV reporter. She'll get her job back. They'll want her back. They'll be welcoming her back with open arms.
Oh yeah. And that's not shit. We're just excusing the A-list talent doing what they want now, are we? Just do whatever suits them.
As an A-list talent, yes.
well, okay.
Know your
If that's
place.
how you see yourself.
Know your place. Be less talent. And let us continue with the review. So Wally gets well, he's got a call. The station manager, whoever, gets a call from the police captain, the police chief, saying that he needs Wally. And I love the little touch here where he's saying, "Swell, he better need me," as he runs off, because he obviously wants to deal with this Linda thing. And you've got the ice sort of speech bubble, the idea of it being cold. It's like he's speaking with cold text. Yes. So that was good. But so he speaks over the police station, and would you believe it? Saul Goodman.
It's the guy he wanted to kill.
Yeah, Saul Goodman's there, and now the captain wants him to protect him, and and that's what they mentioned that he was in jail, and that's why he knows this. The alchemist is after him because he couldn't get him out of jail, but he was operating as a lawyer in jail. So, and he's even he's not dressed exactly like Jimmy or Saul, but it's it's close enough.
I could see Saul dressing in that.
Yeah. So, yes, but he's told he has to keep him safe because he's a witness. He's going to like shop in numerous people, find dead bodies, whatever. Basically, get the entire mob out of trouble. And there's a bit of backstory here, where this the alchemist, like how he stole this. Star Labs were using the rock, the stone, and this guy stole it, and that's how he's got the powers and all the rest of it. Basically, from here, he runs out of the station with the guy on his back. Magliani is his name, by the way. We keep calling him Saul Goodman, but his name's Magliani, just in case. Just in case anyone wants to actually check something and needs to know his name. So they're on the run, and then he just casually drops that he's got a TV interview that he needs to record.
Talk show thing at noon. Yeah. He's like, oh, I guess we're doing that then.
And he's like, do you think that's safe? And he's like, it's not live. By the time it airs on TV, it'll be days old, and like you won't know where I am. And of course, immediately as soon as they get there, the stage manager's like, okay, we're live in 10.
Yeah.
And would you believe it? I will say though, on the way there, I did like a lot of the art. Like when they speed past the woman in the green skirt, and it's almost like the Marilyn Monroe kind of thing.
Yeah, it blows up just from the speed of his wind trails.
Yeah. There's some fun art in there. I will say that, I mean, speaking of ladies though, there's the one woman on the beach in the ridiculously over the top skimpy bikini. Maybe a little bit of the the pandering.
I'm pretty sure that's just Starfire's new 52 outfit.
It's almost like they got it's almost like her hair as well. They just recolored a little bit.
They did. They just saw LaRock's hair and went, that'll do. No, I actually felt that here as well. Like it felt like just an excuse to draw it on that page, and then the woman on the next page isn't as bad with the dress.
Yeah,
fine.
It doesn't feel overly sexualized. It just feels like a fun little callback to a classic.
It does
movie moment. Yeah, it doesn't feel that bad.
It's just that first page of this where it's a bit just kind of there.
Yeah, and would you believe it? Barely seconds into the interview, the alchemist shows up, and Wally's darting about, and he kind of internally thinks to himself that, well, luckily he can't transmute living people, and the alchemist did it once, and it took years of practice, and it took a lot out of him, and it wasn't this easy thing. So, hopefully this guy's only had it for a little bit of time. He won't be able to do that, which leads to a cliffhanger, of course, which he does transmute Wally into solid gold. So the final page is this full page spread of Wally, just a gold statue, which is a fun little cliffhanger. I actually like how it goes into it. I love the last panel on the page before where it's just two people in the TV studio holding their hands up to their eyes because the blinded
light. By the light. Yeah.
I thought it built up to the final page really well. So
yeah, no, it was really good. I think some of the action is weirdly some of the weakest parts of the art from LaRock. Occasionally looks a little bit messy. There's just too much going on.
Yeah, I feel like it's because I almost wonder if there's just not a really good defined sense of what the action's supposed to be. So it's just kind of like do some tornado arms and stuff. That'll be fine.
It could be it. But all the pacing in this issue is particularly fantastic.
No, I agree. I think Wally's character's been nailed down a little bit more. Him being annoyed in the line at the start, his interactions with the skeezy lawyer, like everything about it feels a bit like even though he's still cracking jokes in his head about wanting to kill someone, it never comes off as mean like he has done a couple of issues before.
Yeah, there's a full page kind of in the middle that's the origin of the Philosopher's Stone, which was a little bit wordy, but I really love the layout design where it's all kind of the panel layout of it is inside a version of the Philosopher's Stone, and it's a nice portrayal at least, even if it is a bit overly wordy for that page.
Yeah, that's fair. All right then, what are you giving Flash 71?
I think I'm going to give it an 8.5. It's real solid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was born to just agree with your score, but that's kind of where I landed.
Sometimes it's the right score.